Welcome to the Blues Trail Revisited podcast, special Juke Joint Festival edition. It's episode 4, and I'm Ted Reed. This podcast is sponsored by the Clarksdale Tourism Commission, also fondly known as Visit Clarksdale. This podcast is an offshoot of a film I finished this year about my return to the Mississippi Delta to rediscover the places I first encountered 50 years ago. To see the film, just go to www.bluestrailrevisited.com. It's the final day of the 18th Annual Juke Joint Festival in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and I'll be talking with musicians and locals about what it means to see visitors coming back to what had been a uniquely popular destination before the pandemic. For some of the performers, it's been a nightmare without end, as touring and dates ground to a halt last spring, canceling the Juke Joint Festival and many other festivals worldwide. But some musicians used the downtime to create new music and explore new sounds and ideas. One of them is Jesse Cotton Stone. I'm talking with Jesse Cotton Stone, one of the most street-savvy performers at Juke Joint Festival. Jesse, welcome to the Blues Trail Revisited podcast. How many of these Juke Joint festivals have you done now?
Let's see, my first Juke Joint was 2016. I made my first trip down in June 2015, and everybody was talking about how I had to check it out. It was like the thing to check out in Clarksdale. As I was already in love with the town, I was like, sounds like my kind of jam, you know what I mean? So I came down and I rocked out and connected with a bunch of really good people that I'm still like lifelong friends with. You know, super special place.
You have a really unique sound. How would you describe it to people who haven't heard it yet?
Well, what I do is, I guess I would describe it in its origins of being, Jimi Hendrix was kind of my first inspiration to start playing. I went back and listened to the cats that he listened to, which brought me into, the House of Muddy Waters, which I feel is like a confluence of a lot of different regional styles of Mississippi blues, like from Piedmont to Delta to Hill Country and whatnot. And having grown up playing a lot of his music influencing me, as well as the other cats, but he was kind of a really main frame of reference for me. And so getting into the Hill Country, when I started coming down here up from around the Holly Springs, Benton County area, hanging with the Burnsides, getting into Robert Belfour and going back to, Fred McDowell and stuff, that the Hill Country became a really prevalent theme in my style since I started coming to Mississippi. So what I did was started mixing that together. I wanted a little more high octane. And having grown up on, music like Nine Inch Nails and stuff like that for my generation, industrial metal and stuff like that, real psychedelic kind of metal stuff, I kind of bring a little bit of that element into it. So it's Hill Country, but it's a really high octane, psychedelic, kind of almost punk rock, Jimi Hendrix kind of a thing, with a lot of references to different blues styles. So I've kind of wrapped it up into calling it Hell Country Blues, So that's how. So long story short, Hell Country Blues.
The pandemic put a lot of people on pause this last year. How have you been doing?
That's right. I actually just wrapped up 3 new releases. I was down here about to fire up for Juke Joint 2020, and we got the call, no more than 10 people. And I said, well, most of these juke houses, I'm still good. We usually just play for about 9, but they still wanted to shut it down. So I went home and locked up in the studio for about a year and finished some pending projects that had been shelved for about a year or two that I didn't have time because I was touring so extensively. And so I was able to complete an acoustic record that I recorded in the kitchen of my studio, just in the corner with a single microphone, kind of modeled after how the first session Robert Johnson did there. And, so I had like an old 1956 National full, not usually Nationals are steel body, but this is a full wood body that someone lent me. And so I took a few.
Does it have a resonator?
No resonator, no. Yeah, just straight jumbo body, nothing but wood. It was never seen anything like it. So I was like, I'm gonna take this opportunity to take this nice guitar and make a record with it. So I'm pretty much just banging away on this nice old guitar on my acoustic record. I call that Raw and Naked. And
Sweet.
yeah, that Raw and Naked. You can get that on that JesseCottonstone.com, as well as I'm about to drop. I have some copies just for Juke Joint, but I have 2 new cuts. They were originally going to be the same album of 13 songs, but I decided to divvy it down into an EP of kind of the more traditional kind of stuff to give a little more reference to the hill country and Delta stuff. And then I have an LP that's going to be pressed up on a record, and we call that Welcome to the Hell Country. And so it's where I kind of start opening up into my full element, a little more shredding, as some might say. So yeah, there's a lot more of my solo guitar work featured on that, and I'm doing some vocal harmonies and kind of going in, a new hashed like direction of what I've been doing. A lot of the influences coming in is the Cotton Patch Soul Blues too, from the Kimbrough family, because I've been working with Robert Kimbrough a lot out on the road, and he's been sharing some of the family recipes with me. So I'm integrating a lot of that into it as well. So some of it's kind of smooth and sexy, some of it's kind of hellfire burning too. But I'm real excited for everybody to hear it, no doubt.
Sounds like you were able to take advantage of the enforced downtime and put it to good use.
I was definitely fortunate, yeah. Like I have some skills and some tools to be able to produce my own, so I was able to just isolate and get some work done, luckily,
So, you coming to Juke Joint Festival next year?
Oh yeah, every year for life. I'm sure even if I don't know, if I'm working in a coal mine or if we're on tour in Japan or something, I'll pause and come on back for Juke Joint every year, probably for the rest of my life.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, and hope your shows here are standing room only.
Hey, I really appreciate the opportunity to get to chat with you a little bit and share what I'm doing with you. It's good to catch up with you, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Great, Jesse. Looking forward to catching up with you next time.
No doubt. And thanks for listening to the bluestrail.vhx.tv. And what are you calling the podcast? The Blues Trail?
It's the Blues Trail Revisited podcast.
It is. All right. Well, thanks for listening to the Blues Trail Revisited podcast, y'all.
All right, man. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Ted. You have a great day, my man.
Lord knows, honey, I can't hang on to your evil loving no more now. All right, y'all.
The way you treat me is a shame. I'm still with you like I'm hooked on a chain. You're so mean when we fuss and fight, and then you go and stay out all night. That's alright. That's alright. That's alright. That's alright. That's alright, that's alright.
A crowd favorite at the Juke Joint Festival every year is the daughter-father duo of Shy Perry and Bill Howlin' Mad Perry. Recently, though, Shy has been branching out on her own in a whole bunch of new areas.
Oh, baby, I'm losing the thrill, that's alright.
I'm talking with Shy and Bill Perry at the Juke Joint Festival in Clarksdale, Mississippi today. And first of all, talking to Shy. Shy, how you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, Ted. I'm happy to talk to you and be on your program.
Okay. A lot has been going on with you since I saw you last in the Juke Joint Festival in 2019. I understand you're a TV star now, besides an award-winning singer-musician. You want to tell me about what you've been up to?
Oh, that's really sweet. Well, I'm trying, and right now I guess I'm still a wannabe. But with the television stuff, actually, my brother and I ended up, Bill Perry, his name is Bill too, we ended up hooking up with ABC. They were filming here in the South, especially Mississippi, and throughout the South. I think they went to Arkansas, Alabama, and they're filming a show about Emmett Till's mother, Mamie Till Mobley, and pretty much she was like the one of the mothers of the civil rights movement, and just a civil rights activist herself.
Right.
So yeah, I had a few background parts in it, and I had this one kind of, I guess you would say, important background part of a civil rights leader named Cloydie Murdoch Larson. So that was really nice to portray, actually portray somebody. And I
Wow.
did a lot of background work. So we stayed with them for the whole time they were there. So ended up, they employed a lot of people. So I ended up making some good money with them and having a good time and making connections. And
great.
it's real cool.
All right.
Yeah.
You are expanding,
Yeah. It's all under the umbrella of entertainment.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what did you do to get, besides being, working on a TV series, what did you do to get by during the pandemic?
Well, actually, I was lucky enough to, have some savings and everything. But one of the things I did outside of music was modeling, and I started selling a bunch of posters, and that was a lot of fun. It kept me busy, it kept me occupied, and my mind occupied, and creating things. And that's another side of me that not too many people know about, that I did a lot of modeling back in the day. So I was actually able to sell posters, so that was funny to me. I'm like, okay, people actually want them.
Why not? Really?
Yeah.
Go with it.
So I did. It's really cool that they supported me. But now it's time to get back into music, and I'm really happy that I'm working on some new material, and I'm actually going into the studio on the 26th. I'm doing a duet with this guy named Al Basile. That's really cool working with him. But I'll be doing my own stuff as well. So that's the beginning.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you have a new solo album coming out soon, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I'm going to try to have it out before the end of the year. But I'm going to start off with a single, and I'm going to have some things to go along with the single. I don't want to let too much out of the bag,
Okay,
but
all
yeah, because I'm always like trying to surprise.
And you do.
But
And you do.
well,
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah.
thank you. But yeah, that's going to be a nice one, and so my album is going to follow it behind that. But I'm actually on Bob Corritore latest album. It's going to be released May 14th,
Right.
and I redid Wang Dang Doodle. So that's
Okay. How is
one
he?
on
How
there
is,
that-
how is he to work with?
Oh, he is awesome. He's one of my favorite people to work with. I really click with him. We have a lot of the same ideas, and he's very, understanding and helpful and inspiring. And so, yeah, he's awesome. I really like Bob.
That's great. No, I was lucky enough to run into him at the last International Blues Challenge in Memphis, and
Okay.
just as a really accessible guy, really fun to talk to, and he has played with some amazing people.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he has this whole maybe 30-year collection of all of these recordings of some of the greats that are not here anymore. And so he's been really smart about,
Right.
and bring them to a whole nother different status. A lot of these people might not have been, heard of, or their music being put out there.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely happy with how he's, been with me and my dad. I'm actually on the cover of his album. So, and I like to joke. Yeah, that's before I had my braids, and I like to joke that they made me look like this Black Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well,
Yeah, it's so funny.
No, it's an interesting interpretation. So, how are the visitors at the festival this year? I mean, last time I was there, it was in spite of the weather, it was just an incredible experience. How are they this year?
Oh, it's a really good turnout, and it's still early, so I'm happy to see all of these people out here. And I guess people are feeling a lot more confident about coming out, and everyone I've talked to have said they've had their shots, or at least one shot. I've had my first shot. So I think we're starting to hopefully round the corner, maybe,
All right, yeah.
but
You
Yeah,
say that cautiously.
yeah. I like to be cautious because, this thing has been so random and unpredictable, and I want to stay safe, and I want everybody to stay safe as much as they can. So,
All right. Well,
yeah.
you do, please do stay safe, and we'll hope to see you soon. Okay, now it's time to hand me over to Howlin' Mad.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ted. I really appreciate this. This was fun.
Oh, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it
Thank
too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I appreciate it.
Now I'm talking with Bill Howlin' Mad Perry. Tell me, what keeps you both coming back to Juke Joint Festival?
Yeah, well, it's it's a lot of fun, first of all, and everything.
Right.
And, I've been knowing Roger for a lot of years.
Right.
And I think that I've probably been here, on this festival ever since it started.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a veteran. A lot of people want to know what your early influences were, because you got a wide range of material that you do. Who inspired you to be a musician?
Well, I was inspired mostly by a guy named Ned Bowles. And he was a guy that lived over in Lafayette County and, loved to get drunk. And when he would get drunk, he would start playing, okay?
Okay.
And whenever he would start playing, he was the center of attention. So I kind of liked the center of attention myself. So
Okay.
What can I say?
The pandemic has really messed up practically every musician I know, because when gigs and everything's just vaporized,
Absolutely.
the opportunities to do what you love doing went with them. I was wondering if you were using the pandemic to put out any new music.
No, I just released a CD less than a year ago.
Right.
And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a compilation of about between 19, maybe 20 songs that be looking back about, I'd say about 20 or 25 years or
Wow.
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing right now.
All right, so you're taking these recordings out of the vault, or are you going to perform things new?
No, I'm taking them from the vault.
All right. Excellent. All right. Okay. A retrospective. So do you have any travel plans this year? Now that things seem to be opening up a little, I was just wondering if you were going to hit the road again.
Well, I'm looking to do it, maybe within the next couple of months here. I got a few things, I'm putting together.
Right.
And I'll hopefully say, maybe the last of June or July or something like that. I'm planning on doing basically a cross-country tour.
All right.
And stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. That'd be probably
I love doing it.
feels good to be out there. I know.
Yes, it do.
Yeah.
Yes, it do. Ever since I was a little boy, I was born way back off in the woods, and I'm serious, about a mile in the woods, right?
Right.
So anything, if somebody left walking, I wanted to go.
Okay.
If they left riding a mule, I wanted to go. If they left in a wagon or a car, I wanted to go. And I mean, here I am, 199 years old, and I still love to go.
All right. The wheels are still rolling. Okay.
The wheels are still rolling, absolutely.
Tell me something.
Absolutely.
What's so special about performing in Clarksdale?
Well, I've been coming to Clarksdale, I would say since the early 50s. And been performing in Clarksdale since the 1960s and everything. When Mr. Early Wright, he was a DJ here in Clarksdale years ago. He used to do a lot of big shows here at the high school auditorium.
Right.
And, I used to come here for, a lot of those and stuff when I was playing with Little Milton and people like that. And then with my own family band about 20 years ago, we did a lot of stuff down here. So in other words, coming to Clarksdale is almost like going home.
That must feel good.
Yes, it do. It really do. And everything.
So,
yeah.
So do you have another show this weekend, or was this it?
No, this is going to be it. I'm not, I'm kind of under the weather and everything.
Oh.
You know, some years back, I was partially paralyzed. And according to the doctors, you know, I'm not supposed to be able to walk the way I walk around today.
Oh.
And every so often that pain, you know, from the injury come back, and when they do, you know, it messes with my stomach and stuff as well. So I'm sitting here as we talk, I'm suffering.
Okay.
My back and my stomach both is really bothering me really bad.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time and making the effort, because it's always great to talk to you. All right,
Well,
Bill.
I appreciate the opportunity, and you know, this has been really great.
Excellent. All right. I've been talking with Bill Howland Perry and his lovely daughter Shy at the Juke Joint Festival. So you guys have a good trip back home, and stay well, okay?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. You do the same, and it was great talking to you, Dad.
Likewise. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank y'all very much. Been singing and playing the blues a long time, but I'm not tired yet. Thank y'all. Thank you very much.
The focal point of Juke Joint Festival Sunday is the Cathead Mini Blues Fest, held rain or shine on the front porch of the Cathead Delta Blues and Folk Art store on Delta Avenue. It features many of the weekend's main performers in an intimate outdoor setting. And between acts, visitors stream into the store and take in the accumulated local knowledge of Roger Stoley, the store owner. I'm talking with Roger Stoley, who's the owner-proprietor of Cathead Delta Blues and Folk Art Incorporated in Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's a store you've got to visit when you go there. When I first came to Clarksdale, I made a beeline to your store, Roger, because it sounded like the place I had always wanted to find. Can you describe it to folks that haven't been there yet?
Sure. So it's the store I always wanted to walk into but could never find. It's a bit like shopping in a well-lit juke joint in that there is just art and blues and crap all over the place. It's jam-packed full of cool stuff for fans of blues music and Southern culture and juke joints.
Right.
You know, I started out as a blues fan as a young man, became a tourist by the mid-1990s, visiting Mississippi and Clarksdale, looking for the ultimate blues experience. And ultimately, I moved here in 2002 to help organize and promote the blues from within, sort of pull the scene together so we had a reliable live music scene most and ultimately every night, 365 nights a year, so that we could try to get more tourists to spend the night in our town and build up infrastructure like restaurants and hotels and blues clubs and all that.
Right.
So you sort of flash forward all these years, almost 2 decades now, and even during the pandemic, we have continued to have musicians move here, continued to have downtown businesses open that are of interest to tourists, including like the Bad Apple Blues Club.
Right.
You know, there's going to be a new recording studio. One of the musicians is going to do who moved here. You know, another restaurant. So it's continued to grow off all that. So that's really why I moved here, is to be involved with that. But my base of operations is, you know, where my heart is, which is Cathead Delta Blues and Folk Art in the heart of downtown Clarksdale, Mississippi. And the idea is that, I can try to make a living doing that to be able to fund some of my other projects, film projects and book projects and recording projects and touring projects that are all involved with the central mission of organizing and promoting the blues here. But also, it's something that sort of, I guess I'm the spider and everybody else is the fly. But, you know, the idea is just to draw people in with that store and that special Cathead experience. And then I can tell you about Clarksdale. I can talk you into wanting to come back or wanting to move here even.
Yeah.
I've done a pretty good job, so be careful.
Oh, yes, you
when you visit.
absolutely have. You convinced me.
And then also,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then also really promote the live blues shows and the musicians. And, my whole thing is, and this was kind of a joke when certain of the older acts would play at Red's Lounge, one of our local juke joints. I tell people that I'm not promising that old man's guitar is going to be in tune. What I'm promising you is it will be the greatest experience of your trip.
Right.
It'll be the Mississippi blues experience you're going to go back home talking about. And that's kind of how I feel about things. It's like, it is definitely different here. There are more characters per capita than anywhere else I've lived.
Absolutely.
And Southern hospitality is a real thing and can strike some city goers as eerie at first that strangers are so nice to you. But it's all part of the beautiful picture that kind of draws you in. By the end of your stay, if you're here for a weekend and you get out and see everything, people are oftentimes saying things like, well, there's just something in the water here,
Right.
which there may be, by the way. But the idea is that, you don't know what it is exactly. You can't put your finger on it. It's like, this is special, and this is not like anywhere else you've been.
Certainly not.
We have very carefully tried to curate what's great about here with the blues and the music and the culture and the history, the people, without taking the easier path of just being another Bourbon Street or another Beale Street or
Right.
another Lower Broadway.
Right.
Like, those places exist, and great, we'll send people there if that's what they're looking for, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
In Nashville, Memphis, New Orleans. But we're something unique, and we're trying to keep this unique. And I think that's what people appreciate. They come off the highway after doing the Americana Music Triangle of those, three bigger music capitals,
Right.
and they come through Clarksdale. And I'm not saying, we're better than them or whatever, but I would just say that this is the experience they go home talking about.
Yes.
And we know this because they write us, they call us, they come back, they send their friends. It's not, sort of a corporate blues experience. It is a very personal blues experience to where you feel like when you leave, you have made new friends because you have.
Absolutely no question about that. No, there's a rural authenticity to Clarksdale that you just can't find anyplace else. And all over Mississippi, of course, people have rediscovered their cultural heritage and starting to make most of it. But I think Clarksdale has done the absolute top job of being able to get people interested in what the culture has to offer and what the history is, and it just continues to grow. One of the things I wanted to find out, well, here's the thing. Cathead's been, sort of the de facto Clarksdale Information Center for quite a while. Where have some of your customers traveled from?
Well, I've had customers from just about any country you can think of, and of course, every state. And for example, we're talking right now during Juke Joint Festival Week, and we've had years at Juke Joint Festival where there are 28 foreign countries in town that we know of. For sure, we're here for the festival,
Right.
as well as basically all the U.S. states. We really are the center. If you had to pick a center, first off, it'd be impossible to say, where did blues start?
Right.
And also impossible to say, well, the most important blues city in the world right now is, but I would say we get as close to those answers as you can get.
Yes.
We are the center of the hub for all this blues, both historically and today, in terms of actually being able to have that experience. Also, Clarksdale is beautiful because it is truly at the crossroads in that, we're sort of the center of everything you want to see within 90 minutes, if you're a blues fan in particular.
Right.
So people can spend a great night with us, and we have everything from, rural shacks you can stay in to luxurious lofts downtown to a regular old hotel, and a cool hostel. We have all those kind of cool overnight accommodations. We have old school restaurants that'll sell you, catfish, fried shrimp, Delta tamales, and barbecue. Then we have some that are a little more, I don't want to say upscale, but modern, and certainly can, cater towards vegans and vegetarians, which we never could before.
I've talked to people who say, a week is not enough just because you're only an hour, 15 minutes away from Memphis. And
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, we're perfectly situated. You can go have a night in Memphis, a night in Nashville, frankly, if you want. You can end up down in New Orleans for a couple nights, but at least give us a couple nights there, preferably on a weekend. And again, I think folks will go home and they're talking about Clarksdale and when they get to come back.
Well, hopefully this Juke Joint Festival is going to turn things around.
Yes, exactly. And I should say that we are now open 7 days a week again.
Excellent.
The hours are a little bit limited, but we are open every day of the week at Cathead. If you're here, definitely come see us.
Yes. If for nothing else than to talk to Roger Stoley. Okay. So if you find yourself around 252 Delta Avenue in Clarksdale, drop into Cathead and you'll be just absolutely astounded at what's in there. And hopefully you'll be swamped. Socially distanced, of course.
Exactly. Bring your mask. We're going to know you're smiling behind it, so don't worry.
That's right. Very good. Roger, thank you so much. And best of luck during the festival here, and we'll be talking again. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I
Okay.
appreciate it, Ted.
Great.
Bye.
Music fans make a point of sticking around on Sunday for the Mini Blues Fest, and many are waiting to hear from Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. It's really only 3 musicians, but big only begins to describe their sound. Okay, I'm talking with Reverend Peyton. He's coming from us at Abe's Barbecue, live from the Crossroads in Clarksdale, Mississippi. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother. We have been at every Juke Joint Festival since the beginning, and we had a discussion. We decided that if it was going to happen, that we had to be there.
Oh, right.
And the folks with the fest, and of course Roger, and at Cathead and others, we kind of had some discussions, and they kind of made it known that they almost needed us to be here. And
Right.
We're happy to be here.
Excellent.
So it's very exciting. This is the first run of traveling that we have done.
Yeah.
In more than a year.
Right.
It's really good, but it feels good. We're coming into town. We have the #1 blues record in the world right now.
Yes, you
Released
do.
a record a week ago today.
Yep.
And just kind of riding high. Got a belly full of Abe's Barbecue. It just about can't get much better than this, brother.
You are in a great place, man. Yeah. No, you guys have really been taking off since we talked last Juke Joint Festival in 2019. This new album's amazing. When did you record it?
Well, we recorded it in May, so it's been almost a year now. It takes a while to get records out, though. A band like us, if you're Cardi B, you can you can record it and probably get it out in the same day.
Right.
But a band like us, it takes a while to get it out. And in fact, there was talk about delaying it just because of the nature of the music business right now.
Really?
But I didn't want to delay it any further.
Right.
And it was like, if we're not making music, we're not a band. So we must be making music. So I wanted people to hear this record, and I wanted to come out, and it, I always feel like with artists, you're only as good in the minds of people as the last thing they heard from you.
Exactly. And if they didn't hear anything, then they wondered where you went.
Well, it's not just that. Like they need to know how good I am now.
Oh, there's that too.
Because I work on it every day, so they only know how good I am from the last record. They don't know how good I am. You got to listen to this record to know how good I am. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we had, and these songs too, like the way we do stuff, and we're a blues band, so it's autobiographical and personal, and it's timely. It's got to be done as close to when it was recorded as possible, so it's still kind of inside you. You know, there's songs I wrote when I was 19 years old that I just don't. It's hard for me to play them because I just don't live them anymore. You know what I mean?
You're not there, right? Yeah. So how did you guys get over during the pandemic? I mean, this was a very tough year for musicians, especially.
Oh man, I mean, this was a nightmare year. We did. Well, at first, we fell apart.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, what do? We have to figure this out. And we started a Patreon. We've been doing live streams. I got set up to do live streams in my little cabin in the woods, where we can do multi-camera, multi-track stuff, so that when we're asking people to donate toward watching it, they're not just donating toward us staring into our cell phone.
No, I've seen some of those. It's a good show. It's a great show.
Yeah, thanks, man. We try really hard to bring something special, and those will have to continue. I mean, we're doing shows, but they're trickling back. We normally do 200 to 250 shows a year. We have 20 shows booked the rest of the year.
Excellent. Okay. All right.
So we're gonna have to continue doing them, but it's okay. Like we're getting better at them. I think every single one of those has gotten better too, as we've learned kind of how to do it, and it may be something that even when we're doing shows all the time, there may be some of those live streams may continue. We may just do them on special occasions. We may live stream a live show.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities for that kind of stuff. So, and the Patreon is something that I want to continue doing because it's a very, very unique way to have a very close relationship, a very close sort of communication with some of your best fans.
Right, exactly.
It's different. It's not just where we post something up on YouTube and it goes out. We have it's a very strange situation. There's a lot of communication that happens, and there's stuff that I post up there on our Patreon that I never in a million years would let out to the world. Yeah. But since I know these people are 100% on the team, and they want anything that we've done. And so I let them see demos. I let them see stuff that maybe didn't make. There's been a couple things that didn't make it on records in the past because we didn't think they were good enough.
Right.
But they've B-sides, those deep cuts, things like that. Then we throw that up there, and then also just other recordings we've been doing. And,
right.
Right now, like our Patreon in 1 year, they've probably got the equivalent of 3 or 4 records worth of material.
Really? That
everyone else didn't get.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's amazing how many views you've got racked up just on your YouTube stuff,
Yeah, YouTube's been our saving grace. It's kind of weird in this world. They there's no one coming to save you.
No,
right? Like
no.
People they'll be like, man, I need to get signed to a record label so I can be big. And it's like, well, that's not how it works, buddy. They want you to have your own social media presence before they give you any help.
Exactly.
And they don't really give you any help. They just want to give you a loan.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's the help, is a loan that a bank wouldn't give you.
Mm-hmm.
That you'll never really see any money out of. So
yeah, but you got to do all the lifting. You got to do all
absolutely.
The lifting,
but thankfully, though, with social media, if you're able to build up a following and make it happen, that you can have a career. And we've been able to build up this career that has largely existed outside of the music business. They've hardly given us the time of day since we started, but they're coming around now. I think it's kind of like I said to Breezy, I'm like, these people can't get rid of me. They might as well just get with the program because I ain't going away.
Yeah, no.
And but it's cool. It's nice. Like I'm nominated right now for a Blues Music Award by the Blues Foundation in Memphis, and like I said, on iTunes, Amazon, Tidal, all the places where they're charting things right now, we have the #1 blues record in the world, and we find out on Tuesday if it's a Billboard #1.
Oh.
Fingers crossed.
Be watching for that, definitely. Speaking of heavy lifting, I saw that picture of you, and what were you lifting, like 12 45-pound plates there, or what was that?
Yeah, it was 12 45-pound plates attached to a 600-pound bar, yeah.
Ow.
I mean, a 60-pound bar.
Ow.
Yeah, so 600 pounds total.
So what are you, a power lifter these days too, or what?
Oh, I play 16 gauge strings, man. You got to have strong hands.
Yeah, you do. And you do.
Yeah.
Okay. You're on the road now. Where are you headed next?
Well, next is Missouri, and then we do it's a little sporadic, but we're playing like Iowa, Indianapolis. We've got a show in Cincinnati, I believe, West Virginia. Like, it's sporadic. It's really weird. We're gonna be spending a lot of gas money.
Yeah, bouncing around. Yeah,
and and the shows are all like, they're limited capacity. They're socially distanced. So when you limit the capacity, you limit the amount of money that can be made for everybody involved. And the way it's always worked, man, is that it's the bands are often the afterthought in all this.
Right.
You would think that it wouldn't be.
Right. We have to pay the
you'd
band.
think they wouldn't be. It's because the artists are terrible at business.
Right.
We're great at art. We're terrible at business. So guys that are good at business come in and they know how to make the money, and we sort of get what's left.
That's
But
pretty-
you know, that's kind of what's cool about this, about having these things like Patreon and these live streams.
Right.
There's no middleman.
No, you're in the
You know,
driver's
so-
seat. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
Exactly.
It's been it's a learning experience. It's been a big learning experience for me. And you know, like this year, I mean, I've never had so much stress and anxiety. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know,
Right.
like it was not not easy.
No.
And we had some crazy stuff happen. Like Breezy was sick at the beginning of this thing before they had COVID tests.
Right.
But she was in the hospital. She had bilateral pneumonia. She had blood clots in her lungs. She had 102 temperature off and on for 3 weeks.
Wow.
The doctor said, "You've got the coronavirus." He sent her home and said, "I would never send someone this sick home." But it was so early on. It was in March of last year, beginning of March.
Right.
He said, I don't know what's going to happen. If we're going to be inundated with elderly people, if it's going to shut our hospital down. He goes, "You don't want to be here." And he told me, he said, "If she gets worse, bring her back instantly."
Yeah.
And you know, it was very, very scary because you know our whole career. Like I've been a musician. I've been a professional musician, I guess, since I started giving guitar lessons at 13. So I've done nothing but this practically my whole life. You know what I mean? Every other job I ever had was just to figure out how to support this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's all I ever cared about since I was 12 years old. And you know, it was shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not saying it wasn't reasonably or rightfully so, but it was. And you know, that doesn't make it much easier to take. You know what I'm saying?
No. Whatever
Whether
the
or not it was
reason.
the right thing to do or not,
Yeah, right.
especially when no one's sending any checks. You know what I mean?
No.
So at the beginning of this thing, like we luckily we got internet at our house in April of last year. We hadn't had internet where we lived in the same house for 15 years and had no internet. We lived too far out in the country, but there was
Right.
some kind of grant that brought fiber cable to rural parts of the United States.
Okay.
And our road got some of that grant money. So we got fiber. I've got enough internet at my house now to run an office building in Memphis. I'm not kidding you. It's crazy. Like it is. But it's been it was like a miracle. We got internet at the same time. Well, we had to start operating everything out of our house.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. So for the month between when we were shut down and we got internet, almost a month and a half, it was, I think, maybe the darkest time of my life. You know, Breezy's sick. She won't get well.
Right.
My dad had cancer at the time and couldn't get his operation that he needed because everything had been shut down by the
Right.
coronavirus.
Right.
We had an extended period at our house where the power was out. Because, you know, in rural America, a lot of people don't know, but, you know, it rains hard and the power goes out for 3
Well,
days.
tell
you
me
know?
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I had a long period of power out, and then that was when I wrote most of these songs for this record. Was in that period of time, like with candlelight at our
In the
house.
dark. Right. Wow.
In the dark,
Wow.
just by myself, and Breezy was asleep most of the time. You know, she was too sick to get up, and I didn't know if she was going to get well. I mean, I didn't want to say it out loud. Then I kept telling her she was going to get well, but I was kind of like, at 3 weeks in, when she still had 102 temperature, I went and got another thermometer because I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this thermometer's broke. It must have been broke this 3 weeks.
Right.
You know, surely she didn't still have 102 temperature. An adult didn't sick for that long. No. But nope. And they did a CT scan at the time, and they asked her to come back late last year in November, December, and they said that her lungs will be scarred forever, the rest of her life. Goodness. So, and you know, she's one of those people that didn't get tested.
Yeah, exactly. So how's Breezy doing now?
Well, she's actually doing pretty good. So she doesn't think that there is any she doesn't think that she feels any lasting effects. The doctor said that she may not feel anything. Like it's kind of like if you cut your arm may always be scarred, but your arm still functions, right?
Yeah.
But he also thought that it might be a thing where maybe she's more susceptible to illness in the future because of it. Like her lungs might be weakened in ways that you can't tell. So we just don't know, man. I mean, only time will tell. Hopefully, hopefully in a year she's even better. You know what I mean? That's all I can think is all I can hope is that it just slowly gets better and better, like things often do. You know?
Exactly. Well, I'm sure all your fans' thoughts are with her. You know.
I just hang
So listen, you're traveling, but you're back in Clarksdale now. What's so special about being in Clarksdale when you're performing there? What is really different about it?
You know, I mean, Clarksdale is a special place in and of itself, right? I mean, it really is a hub of where the I guess the vast majority of what we know as American music was born in this area, like circled around this area in a way that most people don't fathom and can't understand, right? And I mean, we can talk about it. I mean, I could go on. I mean, music history is something that have been fascinated with since I was a little kid. Right. And I mean, I can talk forever. I mean, this place from here was birthed the earliest blues that went on to influence every genre of American music that we know.
Correct.
Jazz, country, rock and roll.
Yep.
Most people don't realize how influential blues was to country music as we know it.
Right.
Rock and roll is practically a subgenre of blues.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz was heavily influenced by blues music.
Yes.
Jazz was way more pop and way more standard based, and it was a very different thing before blues came in and influenced what we know as jazz in this country.
Exactly.
So I mean, from that historical standpoint, it is it has a lot of history. But actually, for us personally, there's actually almost a stronger connection than there was when I first came here. You know, just as a musician and a historian and almost like a pilgrim, right?
Yeah.
Now we have 21 years of history here. I've been coming here since I was a teenager. We played the first Juke Joint Fest in every one of these festivals since then.
Right.
I mean, you know, I wonder how many people that are still coming here remember Mr. Tater.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Miss Sarah.
Right.
Or Paul Wine Jones. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, just the real obvious legends like T. Model Ford and Robert Belfour.
Right.
You know, it's a very different place now in terms of that landscape now that so many of those folks are gone.
Right.
But my hope is, and what I think is to try to keep their spirit alive and keep it happening here. It's important. The history is important. This festival is important,
yes.
And it's one of the reasons why we're here. I talked to a lot of people before I decided to come here. I was like, okay, we weren't sure if we were going to be all vaccinated in time. Luckily, we are.
Oh, good.
My guitar tech is 1 shot in, not 2, but the rest of us are 2 shots in.
Right.
So we weren't sure if that was going to be possible or was going to happen.
Right.
But we still made the decision to book it and to do it because we just felt like it was important. It was an important thing to do.
Well, your fans are sure glad that you did.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope that there's good crowds here, and I hope people. I hope they come here and they spend their money. I know this town needs it. It's the blues tourism in this area is become the part of the lifeblood of keeping a community like this going. It needs it, and it's important. You know, we need it as a culture.
Yes.
Our America needs it, right?
Agreed.
We need this history.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it sounds like all the hotels and B&Bs are packed. So
that's great. I love hearing that, man. I do. That's fantastic. Because I talked to Roger, and he wasn't sure how things were going to sell. Yeah. Last time I talked to him, which was about a week ago, he was a little bit nervous, but that's what we've been hearing in the music business, though, is that people are not buying as many advance tickets. They're showing up to the shows, but they're kind of coming last minute because they've been burned all for a year.
Oh, yeah.
They bought tickets, and then they got canceled and moved. They bought tickets, got canceled and moved, bought tickets, got canceled and moved. And then finally, most of those shows from last year, they got canceled, and then no one got refunded. So, for so many of these shows, especially like Live Nation shows, the big shows,
right.
So these, people, they got burned. So, they're a little bit gun shy on whether or not they're going to pull the trigger on buying these advanced tickets. And it's going to take a while before people are comfortable.
I think
so. You're going to see a lot of that. So it's good that they decide to come. And I know Roger, he and I talked extensively about how everybody here was doing everything they could to try to put on the safest festival possible while still having a festival. Roger and some of the folks in town, they have been working very hard to get some of the folks that, especially the ones that need it the most, to convince them that they need to get vaccinated, that it's a wise decision.
Right.
And that's good. I've been trying to do that in my area too. I live in a rural area. And people, they're some of them are on the fence, and I said it like this, man. I said, look, if I had 2 sets of dice, One of them was a 6-sided die, and the other one was a 20-sided die, like you play Dungeons and Dragons with. And I said, if I roll a 6, I'm shooting you in the face. I said, you'd roll that fat dice. You'd roll that big 20-sided Dungeons and Dragons dice. And I said, that's what the vaccine is. Roll the fat dice. You know, don't be an idiot. So, you know, I say, I've been saying that to everybody. You know, like look at play the math. Think of it like a gambler. Right. I have a gambler's soul. Yeah, okay. You know, I think you almost have to be a musician, right? You have to. You're always rolling the dice. Yep. You know, when you get in that van with nothing, you know, when you sit out on the road with nothing, you're always rolling the dice. You know, it's a constant roll of the dice. So, so I think of it like that, man. It's you know, if you're going to be a gambler, you got to know the odds.
Make a study of it. Well, listen, man, I really am glad that you came back to Juke Joint Festival this year, and I'm sure that a bunch of other people are going to be equally glad. So just let's stay in touch and have a great show, actually, tonight, and then you're going to be in front of Cathead on Sunday, right?
That's right, yeah, absolutely, and you know, thanks so much for talking with me, and thanks for being flexible with our weird schedule, getting back to it, and you know, just we sure appreciate it.
No, listen, it's an honor to be able to talk to you guys. I really love your stuff, and keep on keeping on. You know, it's great.
We will, man, as long as we can. I promise.
All right, Reverend Peyton, you still at Abe's?
Still at Abe's.
Still at Abe's. Have a rib for me, okay?
Sure will.
Thanks a lot, man. All right, catch you soon. Bye. And that wraps up our special Juke Joint Festival edition of our podcast. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to the Blues Trail Revisited podcast in partnership with Visit Clarksdale. You can watch the film that inspired this podcast by going to www.bluestrailrevisited.com. And you can find out a lot more about Clarksdale, Mississippi by going to visitclarksdale.com or download the app and check out all the cool interactive features. In upcoming episodes, we'll be getting to some of the Juke Joint Festival highlights we didn't have time for during this special edition, along with other items celebrating the Blues Trail. You can catch some of Clarksdale's outstanding musical talent by watching almost daily live video feeds on Live from Clarksdale's Facebook page. A tip of the hat to them as they celebrate the completion of their first year of operation. I'm Ted Reed, and to all you blues fans out there, keep on bluesing. The Blues Trail Revisited podcast is produced by Ted Reed Productions. Field audio producer is Nolan Dean, and our project manager is Jamie Nyes. Thanks for listening.